Hello everybody, the Army of Otters here, and welcome back to the Unexplored Capital Wasteland. Today we're going to be checking out Relay Tower KX-B8-11. This relay tower is located in the far northeastern part of the map, and it's very remote, and it might seem like there is really nothing here, but there's actually a pretty cool story and some environmental storytelling associated with this location. So let's check it out. So here on the Pip-Boy, you can see the location of the relay tower in the northeast, just south of the Republic of Dave. Now when I approached it, I got a random encounter here with a Scavenger and his pet Guai. This is a friendly Guai, which is pretty cool. So you can examine the animal up close. And the Scavenger can have some trading, but he didn't really have anything on him. Now when I found these two, they were fighting a Protectron. And upon killing the Protectron, they warned me to stay away from it, otherwise they might attack me, but I was still able to loot the Protectron without any consequences, so just empty threats, even though they honestly could have probably have killed me. But yeah, anyways, inside the actual relay tower, there is a power switch, and you're going to want to turn on this power switch. And you can actually turn on the power switch through the gate. You don't need to pick the lock, but I went ahead and picked the lock anyway. And then we can get a radio station which has the following message.
Family and I have taken refuge in a drainage chamber not too far from a radio relay tower outside of DC. My boy is very sick, needs medical assistance. Please help if you can. We are listening for your response. 3950 kilohertz. If anyone can hear this, this is Bob Andersteen.
So from this message, we learn that Bob Andersteen, along with his family, are located somewhere nearby and that they're in need of assistance. If we head to the southeast along the main road, we can find a flea. That's what this small one-passenger vehicle is called. And after finding the flea, there is a little ditch. And at the bottom of this ditch, we can find the entrance to a sewer, or more of like a drainage chamber. But it doesn't really matter. But once we go inside of the drainage chamber, we can find two rooms at the bottom. On the right, we can find a room where there's like a cot, and we can see two people who are dead. Now we can assume this is Bob Andersteen and his wife. And there's also some children's toys and a lunchbox on the ground. And we can get some decent loot. Here we can see 3 stim packs. Now, there's no indication about their son, however, so perhaps he escaped or perhaps he died and his body is just gone. Who knows? But there's no evidence as to what happened in here. Perhaps they just died of radiation poisoning. Now, we can assume that they were alive during the pre-war era and that message has been playing for about 200 years. In the next room, we can find a DC Journal of Internal Medicine, along with the radio that was being used to broadcast that message, and a pre-war book. So some pretty decent loot down here. Now, this isn't the end of the story, though. If we go further to the southeast, we can find a hilltop farm, and it's obviously in poor shape. Perhaps this is where the Andersteen family lived before the bombs fell, but there's no true indication of that. There is a water tower on top of the hill, and you can drink from it. However, you'll get a lot of radiation poisoning if you do so. Now, at the actual farm, I found a Wastelander just roaming around. I actually found out this is a random encounter. At first, I thought maybe he was living here, but as I went to go investigate the house, also there's a swing set, but as I went to go investigate the house and this toilet over here, he started getting shot at. Inside the outhouse, we can find a copy of Guns and Bullets, along with an ashtray, so clearly someone was using this and they were just smoking. And behind them are some actually pretty incredible views of Washington, D.C. Then as I entered the house, I started hearing gunshots, and I went back, and there were 3 hunters trying to kill that Wastelander. I don't really know why they were trying to kill him. Perhaps he was an escaped slave. Perhaps they were just hunting him for game or sports. Who knows? But the hunters were not initially hostile to me, but I decided to intervene on behalf of the Wastelander, and it actually granted me positive karma. But when I talked to the Wastelander again, he was still very rude to me, so I decided to kill him. Very rude guy. Anyways, after that, I decided to go back into the house, and inside we can actually find a terminal. And this terminal has some pretty interesting things about it, about a group of survivals in the days following the Great War. So I'll go through these journal entries, but if you're not interested, please skip this chapter. So the first journal entry is from Edgar, and it reads, I finally got everyone to agree to let me set up generators for power. I can understand their nerves, considering what technology did to us all. But not making use of every resource is wasteful, and a sure path to hell in this situation. Coming out into the light has done wonders for everyone. But we can all get a little stir-crazy, even out here. I'm setting this thing up for everyone to use. So we can see that this group of survivors was hiding out underground somewhere, and upon coming back out of the ground, they were hesitant to use technology again because of the devastation which technology had brought in the past. The next entry is from Rochelle, and it reads, we set up an irrigation system, thank God for Miles' experience on the farm. I never would have thought of this on my own, but what a great idea. I really thought this ground was useless. But the stuff he had us plant in the dirt we dug up is actually sprouting, and the little rivers keep it all nice and wet. And the next entry is from Tyrone, which reads, my turn to be boss this month. Seems stupid to me. I don't want to be in charge. I'm just going to do whatever Jim tells me to. So obviously whoever Tyrone was, not a big fan of leading. The next entry from Doc J reads, I want to remind everyone to come by my tent every day for your radiation screening. Even if you don't think you've been exposed to radiation, the test takes only minutes. Take my word for it, you'd much rather be inconvenienced in the morning than come down with a case of radiation sickness. I'm more than happy to give a detailed account of that scenario to the next person who misses an appointment. And the next entry from Tyler reads, my name is Ty and I'm a big dumbhead. Don't know what spawned this typing, but very interesting. And then Tyler wrote, hey Rochelle, remind me what a big stupid head I am the next time you need me to repair you and use distillers, okay? What gives, Edgar? You can't put a password on this thing? Sorry, that one kind of made me lose it, but quite funny. Obviously, Tyler is not very happy. And then the next entry from Jim reads, been a good few months for us since the coming out. Going by the dosimeter test, we're taking some exposure to radiation, but as long as Doc Johannesson keeps folks on their meds, we don't seem to be having trouble with rad sickness. Irrigation and fertilization has been good, and though we lost the goats and chickens, the cows have done good. Those hardy beasts don't seem to mind this new world. Miles and Jackie are devoting some time to husbandry to keep the cows breeding and available. So obviously when this was written, it was before the rise of Brahmin. And the next entry from Edgar reads, I'm trying to fabricate a windmill for us. If anybody spots any long flat sheets of metal, you let me know. I have most of the other parts I need, but haven't found good metal for the blades yet. Perhaps this is the windmill that now stands at this farmstead. And then the final entry from Jim reads, nobody outconcerned themselves too much with Miguel's scouting report. While he did spot some folk out past the valley, they rode by and weren't like to have noticed him or us. Let's all just keep to the homestead for a few days and avoid using open fires for a few days, just to be safe. And this is where the entries end, so perhaps they were killed by another group, or perhaps they just stopped writing. Hard to say, but a very interesting tell about a survival group in the early days of the post-apocalypse. Now, if we continue down to the southeast, we can kind of find a small pond, and on the other side of this pond is a container, and inside of this container we can find a skill magazine, specifically Dean's Electronics. So a pretty good snag and very easy to access. And then just on the other side of the farmstead down below on the western side, we can find a lot of Brahmin and probably the husbandry area that was mentioned on the terminal. Obviously now it is now radiated, probably from rain or something, from nuclear irradiated water, and now Brahmin roam the area and not cows. Perhaps these Brahmin are descendants of the cows that once inhabited this area. And there we have it. What might appear to be a remote and small and inconspicuous relay tower turned out to be a very cool area with a lot of storytelling going on here. We can learn about Bob Andersteen and his family, along with a group of survivors in the post-apocalypse, in the early days of the post-apocalypse. So some really cool things going on here, and you can get some very gorgeous views of Washington, D.C. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have any recommendations for the next video, please post them in the comments section below. And, as always, until next time.